Good evening, everyone. I want to welcome you to Let's Talk with the Phantom. I have Mr. Suman Singh, Tobago's first economist under Mr. A.N.R. Robinson, and we are focusing on Tobago and how we can help Tobago develop its economy, how the people can help themselves in driving their local economy there. So, Mr. Singh, I want to welcome you to the program. Deeply appreciate having you here, and I know you're very experienced in this level of topic where you have a good understanding of how we should proceed in helping Tobago to develop itself. So, Mr. Singh, I want to welcome you to the program.
Thanks, Gary, and welcome to all our listeners who are viewing or listening. Yeah, very interesting topic. Um, when you invited me to speak about Tobago, Tobago is my baby. I've been here affiliated with Tobago for the past 42 years. So that's like a lifetime. Anyway, I was the first economist that worked in the THA. I came in under Mr. A.N.R. Robinson, and he never wanted me to leave. He said, "We'll do whatever we can to keep you here in Tobago." I did a full 360, went out of the island for a longest while, probably 20 years plus, but I came back, and so I'm here. I, as you Gary mentioned, I was the first director, no, first economist in Tobago, 1984. I was the first senior project analyst in Tobago. I was the first director of tourism in Tobago, and I was also the first director of ICT, Information and Communication Technology, in Tobago. So I've had a number of senior positions, very senior positions, as a you know saying goes, and my contributions have been greatly beneficial to the development of the island, because I don't know if you know, but Tobago has always had a poor city. Poor city means uh, not adequate manpower, especially in the technology and the economic area. And I have filled that void with distinction. So let's proceed with how we can develop Tobago, how we, meaning how Trinidad can help, how we in the US can help to develop Tobago to achieve its fullest potential. Tobago suffers from a number of key systemic issues. I wouldn't say there are problems, there are issues. And one of the main things that has always bugged Tobago is the dependency upon Trinidad, the late arrival of funding to do projects on the island. That has always been the biggest bugbear, and that you never know when money will come. So you cannot start something definitely and thinking that, well, next 3 months I get my quarterly, revenue, which legally you tell me that I will get. So that has been the biggest bugbear, meaning that you cannot gauge expenditure, and because you can't gauge your expenditure, you don't know how to plan, because it's difficult to be owing all your suppliers and so on. You know you have the money. They tell you, they mean in Trinidad, tell you they have the money, but the money comes sporadically. This government of Holly Augustine and the Kamala Prasad successor government has been working to alleviate the situation so that the funding becomes more predictable. Me- Now you can do your projects on time because your cash flow into Tobago is more or less as stated. Tobago has started to get their revenues on time. So we hope that this will help foster some new developments, and the problem of the past will be in the past. Yes. So let's start from the beginning. What is Tobago's biggest industry? Given that Tobago does not have any strong manufacturing base, what is the main industry in the island? It means it remains and has always been ever since time immemorial. Tobago's economy was a service economy. It was based in the early days of the 60s and 70s. It was based on agriculture. In fact, Tobago was the breadbasket of Trinidad going forward. Yes, the breadbasket. There were the boats, the Federal Maple and the other one that were used strictly to transport corn provision, peas, bananas, what have you, from Tobago to Trinidad. And that was a thriving trade. In fact, Tobago produce commands premium prices um, because they were all naturally grown. It's called what we call today's world. They were all organic stuff. Nothing was grown in fertilizer and so on. It was all organic. As a result, it always commanded the higher than normal price. And times have changed. The introduction of all these makeshift programs, work programs, that is, has, in short, spoiled the Tobago economy. That from one of resilience and export oriented to one of total dependency and total, importation of all the things that the Tobago used to produce and export to Trinidad. Today, all of the same things are imported from Trinidad to Tobago. There is a total shift, a total turnaround, um, and it's hard to point out the problem why this has happened. The only reason we can see is that no one wanted to get into farming, so there was not a replacement labor force getting into the farming sector. Because most of the older farmers have passed on, it has left a serious void in the agricultural production of the island. Tobago was also self sufficient in dairy and meat production, especially small mammals and rudiments, as well as in goat and sheep production. In fact, when I first came to Tobago, I lived in one of the largest farms in Tobago. It was called Hope Farm, 1,400 acres. And there were lots of people from the US who were stationed there, like veterinarians and doctors, animal doctors, agronomists, and so on, all living in the farm. So we had a nice clientele of people, both local and foreigners who were there stationed in the farm, not necessarily seen about farm, but stationed there. And that was one of my earlier introductions. Yes, a lot of sheep farming, a lot of sheep farming. In fact, Tobago is the main supplier of sheep, live sheep, to the Trinidad market, goat and sheep to the Trinidad market. So, but then again, as I said, with the passing on of the old farmers and so on, no one really took up the slack and continued farming. So that's why the farming had dropped off. And
Mr. Singh, it is something that I'm very passionate about seeing being done there is that Tobago has the port necessary for them to do the shipping and receiving of their goods. Also, the airport with
yes,
direct flights, direct shipment to their ports. I want to see them get to that point because I think that situation has put them in a very handicapped situation, and they need that kind of independence. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, I think some of the economic situation is based on the restraint.
that's
We
that's the
need
point.
reliability in transportation and effectiveness. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the biggest problem, as I mentioned before, was the dependency on Trinidad, and that has remained to today. But the present government has been able to circumvent and rectify this to a large extent, in that the cash flow of funds into Tobago is a lot more predictable. And because of it becoming more predictable, you can start any sort of project development knowing very well that your money is going to be here on time to pay your suppliers and to pay your labor force and what have you. So that's good. That's a first step. The second step with respect to development is that this island is constrained. It um, it's a natural, beautiful island. I got to take care of that beauty and that naturally. In fact, under my tenure as director of tourism, I was able to secure Tobago as the world's number one ecotourism destination in the world. I'll repeat that. Under my tenure in 2004, Tobago was voted the best ecotourism destination in the world. And now, to achieve that is no mean feat. We beat out competitors like British Columbia in Canada, Papua New Guinea close to equator actually next to the Indonesia islands, and New South Wales, Australia. So we had some big names who we won the title from. And that has, I've been able to brand that as an ecotourism destination. And as a result, we have seen an influx of tourism during my tenure in Tobago, 2003 to 2007. But we were constrained in other areas. We never had a fully developed airport until now, I should say, until this year. There's still some lingering issues there before a lot of these international airlines can fly. Notable one is the perimeter roadway and the proximity of housing and live activities very close to the, the airport itself, within a slingshot or good throw, you can reach the tarmac. Anyone with a slingshot can hit one of the planes.
Well, that's a very high security risk, and in today's
That
world,
is why I
it
know,
is a great concern.
and I haven't traveled around most places of the world, all of Europe, most of USA and Canada, and all of the Caribbean. I can tell you that 90% of the airports that I've seen has always had perimeter fencing and a perimeter road around the airport, right? Now, as a tree, is a massive airport that's built, is built, just about to be completed in Tobago. Now, the handling capacity is tremendous. It can handle 3 million passengers per annum. The population of Tobago is 65,000 people. So you're going to get an idea into how big that capacity for handling tourists or other travelers can, you can get a good idea. Its population is is 500 times the population of Tobago that airport can handle per annum. 500. So in a way, it's overbuilt with a lot of tremendous excess capacity. We do not need a big airport as such. Tourists and travelers don't visit an island to look at an airport, so it was not a non-attraction. It was just built on the whims and fancies of the previous government with no discussion and no input of the Tobago House of Assembly. That point needs to be emphasized.
I
Some
find that to be highly disrespectful to do something like that.
totally disrespected.
And
And, and, and
I've looked at the runway, and I mean
yeah,
that there's some serious concerns there. You
serious
know,
concern, but you see, these things were all done without approval in most cases. As now we see the problems coming up, it's been the soft opening was last year, March 2025. And the PNM government was you know, was ruling, and they took it upon themselves to make these decisions where Tobago never had an input into it. And what have really happened, it was overcapacity built. And last week we found another problem. There, there is no pipeline or other alternative um, storage for aviation fuel. That's, almost airports have this pumped underground. This,
are we serious? Really?
yeah. So last week, as I delved more into it and I spoke to one of the senior persons, they say, boy, you don't know what's happening here. We got the Coltham MP, which is on the perimeter. There's MP station, the MP substation in Tobago is literally bordering the fencing of the airport, but there is no underground piping system. So MP has given us a quote of $60 million if we are to get to the airport, dig it up, get down to the where it's supposed to be by the tarmac and so on, and to install an underground pipeline so you can, easily connect and put gas up the airplanes when fuel is needed. As of now, all fuel has to be trucked into MP trucks. Think of that difficult situation when, in fact, this is an ideal case where, again, everything is planned in Trinidad,
And
no local input.
that's supposed to be a modernized airport that they were trying to sell us there.
This is the thing. It's touted as the best in class in the Caribbean. $1.3 billion and still counting. And with no perimeter fencing, they still have to remove and redo the roadway around. They still have not had the gas or the aviation fuel next on the tarmac itself to fuel up all these planes. And that was have been should have been one of the simplest discussion because NP has been always stationed next to the airport, there, the filling station. So it's a matter of just beginning a trench at that time before the runway was paved and so on. And you could have done it for like $2, $3 million, and now it's $60 million to additional expenditure to have refueling services there. What nonsense are they? Who are the people? Yet, yet, NIDCO, who was in charge of the airport project, told us last year when they had a soft opening, they had a soft opening in the airport, that everything will be good by July of 2025. Wait now, one more year has passed. We're in July 2026, and some of the problems were still lingering on. To tell you the rush job that was done, all in an effort to secure the votes for the general election last year. All a soft opening, they were all soft openings. The Tobago Airport, as well as the Central Block Ministry of Health, Port of Spain General Hospital, they were all soft openings without anything inside. Just a shell. The entire build out had to be done. So this is what is taking the time. Gary, even though the PNM said last year, July, it would be on, and so on. Now, the airport, as we know, any airport, as we know, abide by strict rules. There's strict rules of operation. And Tobago one is not going to be any different. It has to meet the requirements for international air travel.
But
Um,
as of now, are we supposed to be having inter-island connection, right? Where they from the other islands they're coming back and forth from Tobago, whether it's Jamaica, Barbados, or where?
you're kidding? You're
Is that
kidding?
are we seeing that traffic flowing right now or
Are
not there?
you kidding? There's nothing, Gary.
Oh my
There is
God!
nothing. So that's like a little blue elephant there. There are no little,
So
no
we
traffic.
can't even get that inter-island connection right now.
That
Wow.
is that is exactly what it's. Only the local planes come in there, the ATRs as they call them, the fun planes,
Uh,
turboprops, and that's it. Often on a jet comes in, and that jet is probably get one from Condor, which is from Germany, and British Airways.
and is that coming direct?
One is shared in Trinidad, but they end up in Tobago.
So wait a minute. So it's do stop in Trinidad and then come to Tobago.
Yeah, not both. One of them, British Airways, because
Okay. Oh, so
they,
okay. So the British Airways is able to come there. Okay.
yes, as well as now when I in 2003, 2004, I
And
sent down
what size of jet is that? Like a 747?
no, 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 no. Uh, the 757, it was 268 passengers, and the operator 767, which is a similar size capacity. Um, as one the Airbus three something comes in
Okay,
as well.
so 757, 760. Okay, that's good. That's good enough to know. At
That's
least it can come in.
260. No, the capacity, airport is not a problem. The airport is a beautiful airport, and the runway is fantastic. It's a long, long runway. Long, long
Or
runway.
is just the close proximity to the fence line is the issue, right?
Defense lines and all the security systems and the refueling systems for aviation fuel, access to aviation. It's the old time methods, that is what in a modern airport is spending so much billions and planning to accommodate up to 3 million passengers per annum, and you have shades of dated backward technology into the system. Tell me what, who, and what type of planning is that? And I got the feeling that it was done to sabotage Tobago because they lost, the PNM lost Tobago. They lost Tobago in 2021, 22. Oh, but it was half and a half, 6-6. But then come January, the January this year, the 12th, they lost it 14 nil, 14 nil. And that curtail the force of that since last year, yeah, they mean it, the PNM. So they say, that is so, we'll suffer you guys as we normally do. And to think foolhardily that the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago is a Tobagonian born and bred in Tobago. You know, that level, that level of, discrimination is unheard of. He just decided we will suffer the people in the island. His island, you know,
Some people get stupid with power. You know that? Some people get really stupid with power, and he was one of those that really got stupid with power.
ban. So this current government have to go through all the hoops and try to bring back some sanity into the system and try to make sure that the airport can be accommodative and fully functional. But unless they clear up these issues, it will be always be a soft opening because they don't have or they have not met the requirements. Now, juxtapose this previously, Gary, when I was here as the director of tourism, I had over 10 international airlines flying in every week, to Tobago, direct. I had from three, eh, three direct flights from Excel Airways, which is Monarch Airlines flying out of the UK. I
So
had
what
two.
happened to all of that? Who killed that? The PNM
Okay.
basically killed that?
You say now you see. Well, wait, let's hear the story.
Go ahead.
So three flights a week, and then I had two flights from Virgin Atlantic out of Heathrow. That's five flights out of England. Basically, a flight every day, right? And the 747, which is what Virgin Atlantic flew into Tobago, that holds 465 passengers. You got it? So two of those flights for the week, three XL Airways, and they use 757. That's 265
Yeah.
passengers per plane load, right? Similarly, I had two flights from Condor Airlines out of Frankfurt, Germany, coming in, and those were 767s, and also Airbus carrying the same capacity around 250 to 260 persons. Two flights a week. I went and signed a contract with Lauda Airlines, flying out of Austria. Now, don't you know if you know who Lauda is? Niki Lauda was one of the world's foremost racing car driver. Niki Lauda, he races with Schumacher and all these guys out of Germany. So that was a high-end airline that bring high-end passengers into Tobago. And I was the one who went there and signed the contract in Vienna with Niki Lauda, dad, to let them fly into Tobago. I also was able to get KLM Air France to come into flying Tobago directly. And that was through their subsidiary Martin Air.
Okay, I thought KLM was Dutch. There was Dutch.
KLM Dutch, but that Air France had bought them
Okay,
over.
okay, okay, okay. So the
They
Air France
became
division. Okay,
Air
okay.
France KLM, and a subsidiary of Air France KLM is called Martin Air. So Martin Air services for Air France, the Martin Air is the chief one that services the entire Caribbean from Dominican Republic, Jamaica, Barbados, Tobago, and what have you. That subsidiary is called Martin Air. Curacao, Margarita, and so on. They're the ones, it's Martin Air. All the Air France sends the big jets sometimes for come to Saint Martin as well as Guadeloupe and what have you. But those things being aside, we have 10 flights from Europe, 10 coming into the Bay every week, right? And that is how I increase the airlift, and that is how I increase the tourism arrivals in the island. Because you can have the best island, the best airport as we as we have right now. But where is the damn tourists? Where are the guests? Where are the guests coming in? So you see the problem. People don't travel to a destination because you have a new airport. They travel because you have done your marketing before. You have increased the airlift because you make it easy for airlines to fly in and so on. And once they have passengers, they will be flying in. But then now they don't have the passengers, they have the new airport, but where are the passengers? Over time, Tobago has become very lax in the marketing efforts, so it does. The Europeans are not coming to the island as before. Right now, it's like about 25,000 international arrivals per annum. You know, when I was there, when I came to Tobago in 2003 back, it was 23,000, same thing. But I increased it to 45,000 the next year. And then to 65,000 the third year. And then to 85,000 international arrivals on the fourth year. Tobago has never has seen such massive increase in tourism ever than when I was there. Now, when I left, it went back down to 23,000. Entire what's called a bell-shaped curve. I took 23 to 45 to 65 to 85. Then it went down now back to 23. Here is it 20 years later, it's still 23,000.
Amazing.
So
I'm really amazing. Yeah.
amazing is not a true description. One person, myself, as director of tourism, I employed three new persons to help me. Now we have a whole department and we have a whole next separate tourism entity called TTAL, Tourism Tobago
And
Tourism Agency Limited.
and what are they really doing? What productivity
But,
have they shown so far?
but you gauge by yourself because right now they have pretty close to about
What's their plan
80.
of action?
Right now you have about 80 employees. And
80 employed,
my time
and that's the results. That's the
And again,
results still.
23,000 internal. When I was there, I had three, four, about six, and regular administrative staff, like about total of 40 persons,
Well,
and generating.
we need to have a serious conversation with the Tobago House of Assembly and plus the government of Trinidad and
No,
Tobago.
the question is, who is listening? Why aren't they speaking about this thing? It is all grandeur, this, that, but the data don't lie, my friend. You could lie with statistics, which is what they have been doing all along. Oh, this thing, that, blah, blah, blah. COVID responsible for all that. Hey, when I was there was bird flu, that was a pandemic, and then there was swine flu 2 years later, H1N1 and H1N5. Yet, I increased tourism. And those were, world pandemics, bird flu and swine flu. They were bird, world events. Yet, yet, I was able to increase tourism by that amount. And that record still stands, Gary. That record still stands after 20 years. That record has never been broken. It's not even reaching close. And yet your wage bill is humongous. You have a lot more staff, but I guess there's not me around to head it. I'm not taking the credit for it, but tell me what is it that I did that the, that made it successful to have such large numbers of tourists, and what is it that's being done today when I am not there to have this massive shortfall.
With an army staff, a staff
Amazing.
that is like is fully
So,
I mean, how to say, manned. There's no shortage of manpower there,
no
and
shortage of
and
manpower.
we living in a world where, at least at this stage, I'm sure that those young people are very tech savvy in doing things. Right? They should be
Yeah,
more
but
little more
I
familiar.
they may be familiar, but tech savvy. I introduced tech savviness into the THA at that time. I was the one. I
Yeah, but we
did
want to know what happened to that, because all that work you
yeah,
made, when that went out the window, because there is nothing there to
everything.
show. Nothing is show.
Everything went through the window, and I. This is where politics go in Trinidad and Tobago, but most in Tobago. Yeah, I realize that whenever there's a change in regime, there's a change in everything. So the good gets thrown out with the bad, and they start all over again. And when they start all over again, things doesn't work out. So you have to try to bring back the old systems again. And that's been toing and froing, toing and froing, jockeying for positioning and so on. Creates a
You know what?
hell of
You know what I want to do, Mr. Singh. Maybe we could start doing some interviews on the people on the street there. Being that you are physically there, you get some people to get their views on, knowing the fact that what you did, and the direction Tobago is, and things like that.
But it's not you don't hear that from me, no, Gary. You hear that from the like Tobago Chamber of Commerce. They said, how come at that time we 2003, 4, 5, 6, we
Yeah,
had
but
so much
no, I
revenue.
know, I understand. But what I'm saying is, I want to get some feedback from the people on the street now. What they're
I
looking
don't
for, what they're hoping for, what their needs are. I mean, we
even
look
that
talk about
is
driving the economy, but we want to get an understanding what the people are looking for. Oh,
but the only driver in Tobago right now is the tourism industry. There's no industries per se. They don't export anything. They don't produce anything much. They import everything from Trinidad. So there's literally no drivers in the Tobago economy. Nothing to
and
drive the economy.
importing based on what revenue stream?
Well, here's what the economic uh, aspect of Tobago. The THA employs 60% of all the Tobago. 0% of the population of Tobago. Now that is craziness. That is like telling me the federal government employs 60% of all Americans. Can you imagine that? There's no private industry to take up the slack. And that is this is perhaps the root cause of why Tobago is not prospering or can't propel itself industrially. So that's a big problem. And whenever there's change in the administration, there's change in the personnel, and it makes a full circle, it goes right back to the beginning. You know. So this is what is transpiring as development in the island, boy. Island is a tourist-based economy. If Chinese don't come to Tobago, the economy collapses. The tourism economy will collapse.
So basically, the Chinese are really that are driving the
They are
economy.
the ones, yes. Right now, you cannot get a seat on the boat to come over.
Right.
July
And
and or July.
we have no inter island traffic at this point from other than the other island except
No,
from the
no, no,
homeland.
no, 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 no.
Yeah.
Nothing, nothing. There's one boat operating. I don't know why or whose idea this is to always have one boat in the peak season of the year. This is the peak season, right? July, August, school is on holidays. A lot of families from Trinidad bring their cars, their families to come and spend time in Tobago. Then there's a great race comes up in around last week in August. Another massive influx again. You can't get flights, you can't get air tickets, you can't get boat tickets. So you see, the Chinese is the one who's bailing out this economy, literally. Without Chinese, Tobago collapse. Before, Chinese also bail them out, but by being consumers, of the agriculture produce. Remember I told you about the federal palm and the federal maple. They were the two Canadian inter-island boats that brought foodstuffs produced from Tobago to Trinidad. Today, that has shifted to more Trinities coming over for the quick holiday. School is out, so lots of people just had nothing to do. And Tobago is the cheapest, closest alternative. So this is
And how are the accommodations there? The facilities are they
the
uh,
facility. Two main hotels have closed or on the borders of closing.
public facilities and stuff like that? How
Public
what's the condition?
facilities are good. Public facilities are good. Transportation system is good. Digital connectivity is good. Access to banking and so on is good. You get monies and all the banks are in Tobago as well. The Scotia Bank and the FCB and the Republic Bank and Royal Bank. They all have a presence here in Tobago. Nice
Right.
offices,
So also so far as infrastructure within the island, how is that looking?
excellent. Within Tobago, the roads in Tobago much better than in Trinidad. The health system on par with anything else. I, I can tell you based on my experiences both in Trinidad and Tobago. Tobago is way, way better. Uh, the schools, the sporting facilities, every village has a nice playground and so on. Nice multi-purpose halls for training people and what have you. It's very well organized. And the thing is that why are they suffering to this point? Uh, And a lot of wrong decisions were
I
made.
want to welcome our friend here, Dr. Ashford Mirage, is finally here with us. Welcome, Dr. Mirage. We are finally together after a long period, a long break. Mr. Singh
Yes,
is giving us a little education on Tobago here.
I'm sure. I'm sure that's why I come in. I want to
All
hear what
right.
that's my Tobago man.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
So good to see you guys. How are you going?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm in Tobago. I'm retired,
Okay. Oh
Well, not
no.
retired, not retired, I should say. I retired for about 2 months,
Hmm.
3 months. I hopefully will be rejoining the labor force later this year, more in the
Okay.
area of strategic planning and implementation of projects because nothing seems to be happening um, as far as strategy and development goes in the island, and also probably to consultant in the area of tourism. That's my number one strength, I would say. Tourism, business, marketing, economics. In fact, I was just telling Gary I was the Tobago's first economist. I work
Hmm.
in it. THA. I was Tobago first senior project analyst. I was
Hmm.
Tobago first director of tourism. I was Tobago first director of ICT. So I've always been a Tobago first kind of guy.
Hmm.
And I've always been in the cutting edge of my field of study. Always in the cutting edge, 10, 15 years ahead of time. Right
Hmm.
now, I'm a digital marketing specialist. I'm a data analytics and I'm artificial intelligence, all focusing on the tourism and hospitality industry. I recently drew up three plans for the island on the health tourism plan, sports tourism plan, and a community-based coastal village type tourism project. Like, I don't know if you've been to Barbados and see Einsteins and Fish Friday and so on in St. Lucia. There's the concept, sustainable tourism, not sun, sea, and sun, because we cannot compete with the Caribbean on sun, sea, and sun. So you need to have different demand segments, or what we call um, not the sun, sea, and sun, but more diving and more culinary side of things, more ecotourism, more honeymoons and wedding segments, and more these kinds of things based on culture and heritage and what have you. Tourism on those fields, because those are non-stressful fields. Those are what's called sustainable tourism. They are not like sun, sea, and sun where they damage the environment and so on. So this is my niche, this is my forte, and I hope to get into this area soon. I The thing is that what Gary was saying that we have a brand new airport in Tobago. It can accommodate 3 million tourists or 3 million travelers per annum, but the entire population of Tobago is 65,000 persons. So think of that mismatch or scale of that airport, which was built not with people in Tobago, no input of the Tobagonians. So
Absolutely no consultation at all.
zero, zero. And to me, that is closer getting to a white elephant. I call it a blue elephant, but you could call it whatever you wish. It's something not built to scale. Um, we have little or no airlift. It means airlines flying into the island. I was telling Gary this statistic. When I was director of tourism, I had 10 international flights out of Europe every week. There's two now. Today there's two.
What
I
year
had
was that? What year was that?
2003, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those were the years I was here. And I was telling him tourism when I came was 23,000 arrivals. I took it to 45,000 the next year, and then to 65,000 the next year, and then to 85,000 the fourth year. Do you know 20 years later what it is now? It's back to the whole bell ship queue. It's back to 25,000. After 20 years, the more that's the best they can do. Come on, man.
So
When
what can they replicate? Is it possible to replicate what you did in those years, or replication?
There's
The,
work replicate. No, you see what happens whenever government change, you know that in this part of the world, all systems change. So everybody goes back to the drawing board. So they go back with a new tourism plan, new people, new this, new that, new offices, and goes along for maybe for 5 or 10 years. They cannot get their foot off the ground. They only list the problem but when I came, I took it to a new level based on technology, so to speak, cutting edge technology. the electronic marketing, you know, more events coordination, more local and foreign advertising within the Caribbean. Then I personally took it upon myself to deal with international marketing. So these were the efforts, and right now there's these same things they do, but they're not attracting the people. And you ask the question, why?
Right.
That's the same question I am asking when I came here now. Why are you doing the same things and you're not generating the results?
Because I heard you said something very important just now, that nothing is happening. That
Nothing.
means nothing is happening when something should have been happening.
All along, something should be happening. See, in the tourism, you have to be creative. There's a dynamic industry, a dynamic industry. You have to be creative. You got to make good use when you have certain things. Like when I was here, I wanted, I under my tenure, Tobago became the world number one to ecotourism destination. When I was here, collected an award, and but what have they been done, or what has been done since I brought the island that fame? Who marketed that? Why wasn't it done the right way? So you still, let me give you an example. So today you still have 22 years later, you still have diesel vehicles going to the rainforest. Tell me, we got just won the award to the best ecotourism, best green, the highland, and so on. And you have diesel vehicles, buses, minibuses, going to the rainforest. Why that? High level pollution. What you should be having is all these rental cars and so on should be all electric. You know, a simple thing like that. How do you preserve?
So, because I'm trying to put a handle on what you're saying, because um, from that 2022, 2003, 2004,
Yeah.
and then the partnership took over in 2010, 2015, because I know the PNLs go backwards whenever they take over. So, but
Uh,
then you had the partnership. So there should be some forward plan. I think around that time also was the PNM still in charge of Tobago. Am I right?
yes, correct. The THA was run by the PNM.
Right. So it is that, I think that's the backwardation you're referring to, that we go back to same old doing nothing, do nothing, talk plenty and do little, and get
And
little done.
yeah, and then redo the plans. The tourism plans have to be redone.
So here's
Oh,
so here's so here's my take on what you're saying.
uh-huh.
The currently the whole world is I mean, look, let me start out and tell you, the whole world is like this, the whole world in mad scramble. Nothing is getting done. Everything is going backwards or nothing getting done. So this is a world phenomenon, but we don't have to follow the world. We could come out of the world and do our own thing.
Yes.
And so I guess that way. Because if you had to go back to the drawing board, suppose the UNC cannot wait. You see, this is every time they wait, you play into the hands of the opposition, because the opposition have nothing to do except to tell you that you're not doing anything. Everything you're going backward, you're doing this, you're doing it. You promise and you can't deliver. You promise in Tobago and you can't
And
deliver. That's exactly what the PNM is saying. What you're saying, nothing is happening. The PNM is saying the same thing. So
yep,
that bothers me when UNC people are saying the same thing. Because
it is the same thing in
because
here.
the bothers the UNC people have to, I don't know when. I mean, it seems like they know what they would. I mean, they have all this nice plan, but I that's the question I really have for you. Why can't you all get it off the ground? If I say,
Welcome,
Mr.
Dr.
Singh,
Parum Maraj. Dr. Parum Maraj,
In the
welcome back.
house.
Hello, good night, good night. How are you
Good,
doing?
good
good night,
night,
how are
Doc.
you?
Yeah,
We're
Dr.
getting
Maraj.
along with the situation here in Venezuela.
Go ahead, imagine. Why? That's
Very devastating.
yes. Wow, I'm glad you could join us because you might be so busy yourself over there still.
Oh man, trying my best to do any rescuing people, still rescuing people, still in the hospital. There's a lot of casualties still.
Hmm.
So, not a good situation.
Yes. Oh my Lord.
Mm.
Do you all get do you get a rest at all, or you're almost 24/7 kind of thing?
Almost 24/7 kind of thing because you we breaking concrete, moving buildings, very tired, very hungry. And when
Mhm.
you hear someone screaming, you get energy and you're hungry, your hunger goes away
Yeah,
just to
yeah.
take out a person.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
So we go in there. It's
Adrenaline. Yeah.
Boy.
still good. I just I just get rest and I say, look, I wake up and I just see this here now in
Yeah.
the tent, in the army tent here. So wake
Hmm.
up, see, long time when I ain't say hello to Trinidad and Tobago
Right.
and the fellas.
Yeah, glad to hear you.
Oh, I'm okay, but it was very frightening the situation here. Very
Yeah.
frightening.
Yeah.
Dr. Paru, whenever you get a chance, we would like to get more update from you. Just let me know if you can spend
Yeah.
a 5 minutes anytime.
Yeah.
All right,
Well,
all
you
right.
can speak now, Gary. Let me take a rest. I need a little coughing bout, so I'll be on
Yeah,
listening.
so
But
so so Paru could talk a little bit with us and Dr. Maraj a little bit.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
problem. I can do it now. What you like to know? What you fellas like to know? What
Yeah,
Trinidad
well,
like to know?
you know, Dr. Maraj, you want to go ahead for a minute to talk to Paru?
Well, yeah, what we were talking about, and I think you were talking to Bego. I don't know what you think about. I was saying that in fact, someone was saying that nothing getting done, and this is a UNC problem. If nothing, the PNM saying the same thing, nothing getting done, and if Mr. Singh is saying that we also not getting nothing done, and if UNC is saying the same thing, what is the problem? And then I told him that the world is pretty much nothing getting done either. And you look around the world, nothing really is happening. Even in all India, India is trying to move ahead. One of the most progressive country in the world, but they also stymied with the oil problem and this problem and different problem. So the whole world kind of is not Trinidad is not alone, but
Yeah,
we
yeah,
have to
but they
get
say
on because
the whole world and Trinidad problem, no matter if the world booming outside there, Trinidad will do the same thing, because especially when it comes to certain areas where they
yeah,
maintain that stagnation, it's because
yeah,
it's a self-centered kind of mentality where they
yeah,
don't see on all of us progressing together. They are more focused on me, myself, and I, and my friends or
yeah.
whatever it is.
yeah, yeah.
So
And that's the point I'm making the other day. I mean, well, I don't know how long ago it was, but I was saying that Trinidad people, I listened to the radio in Trinidad this morning, and like they occupy one pack of nonsense about what is happening in somebody who get released, somebody had it that got released. I mean,
yeah,
that is that, what's so good or bad about that? The guy, they have some kind of information. They have the guy there. The guy went to court. It's obviously what happened. You go to court, and the privy council will let him go anyway. So we couldn't get anywhere with that. But you have to give the people credit for trying to come deal with the situation. The PNA people saying that they are failure, and everybody's saying, "Oh yeah, you see, look, I've no this one had to go and that one had to go." Pack of nonsense. The people have to try many things. All will not be successful. So keep on trying. Maybe if you keep on trying, you might get a handle
Yeah,
on it.
but the PNM won't talk about the damage that they did that caused the government to be in such a situation,
No, no,
right? No, no,
they are.
you won't hear that part of it,
Yeah,
right? But
yeah,
the damage to the economy and to the country, I mean, in so many ways are very severe. And a lot of people saying, well, this not happening and that not happening, but the damage to the infrastructure, damage to the economic infrastructure, I mean, damage to the social infrastructure of the country. I mean, there's damages to the law enforcement infrastructure of the country. I mean, you name it. Damage to the justice system. There's so much deterioration that how much can we fix in this first 5 year term? You know, so when people rise up to criticize, I mean, at the same time, you have to think about what we are dealing with. I mean, Tobago problem. No, we were focusing on Tobago tonight. Tobago problem is been constructed, nurtured, and developed by the PNM. So, I mean, to really, it's like you think, when we used to kill chicken back home, you go to buy a chicken, the chicken and wing tie behind its back, right? And you let something, you let go to chicken, and chicken and realize he release, so you feel like he still sit down there, he can't move. But the thing
Mhm.
about it is, this is what is kind of both psychologically and physically happening to the people. You have incapacitated them, psychologically, mentally, economically, everything is in stagnation because they definitely needs, that independence. Like I said, the port is something that is very important for us and seeing the direct international port connection. Nothing should have to go to Trinidad to come to Tobago. All right, that nonsense has to stop. Whether it's by air or sea, that has to stop. There has to be that independence in order to drive that economy, and you have to retrain the people because right now everybody's like a CPEP boca down there.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sumant, or anybody. Yeah.
Yeah, Sumant, no, let me ask Sumant this question because I'm glad he stayed back a little longer. Um, so, Mr. Singh, since you have been involved in, because I shot Tobago looking for answers and they can't find it yet because, so if you had to say what is really what is really keeping them back now? Is it money? Is it plan? Is it technology? Is it what? So what you say? Oh, you're going back to two planes? Was I think two planes a day or a week or whatever. You mentioned some of the only cut down to less than 50%. So but the PNM says that they wanted to put sandals and only didn't
Let,
allow sandals to come there, and therefore that is one of the problems. And the UNC caused it from when they were in opposition. They caused it. When in opposition, they caused it. When in government, they caused everything in the world. So you know where
yeah,
they're going with that. But so is that really? I'm sure they had to. I looking at day for data from Tobago, and while you all tell me about this just now, and I could find no Tobago data telling us like what kind of occupancy they have, when is the high season, when is the low season, what's the falling away from the occupancy rate,
right.
how
Correct.
much foreign exchange they bring in from these things.
So,
Can we lay a handle on all these things? If you don't have data, you can't go any forward. You need some data. Give us some data on where we go, where to go with, because you want to
that's
restart this Tobago thing, and you don't
exactly.
have time. Your time is against you. Go ahead.
Yes, that's why, early on, a little over 10 years ago, I realized that data is going to be the new currency in the world. In the early days, in the 80s and so on, cash was king. Coming the year around 2000, content became king because all these websites and so on, Amazon, Google, and Microsoft, all these things, they were all based on content was king. And today, since the year 2020 or so, data is king. It's a new currency, data. So there, in Tobago specifically, there is no Tobago specific data for Trinidad and Tobago. So
Fair,
we
no,
don't
good.
know how many houses or households there are, how many, what have you, all flights coming to Tobago directly pay their dues to Trinidad. The whole gimmicks thing, everything is consolidated. So there's no disaggregation. So you don't know exactly what is it that Tobago is contributing towards TNT GDP. Do we anybody know? There's no data on that. So how can you disaggregate the economy and say, well, Tobago is contributing 10% of the GDP, for example?
Well,
Yeah,
if they want to go independent, semi-independent, whatever they want to do, I guess every one of them want to be as a big fish in a small pond. So
and
if they
that
want to
is
go independent, they have to they have to start with the data. They have to start collecting data because they will end up want to go alone and then realize that they depend on Trinidad and they become like some other country that cannot exist on their own by themselves. So it's nice to talk about political independence, but you have to have economic independence too. You cannot have political without.
But Dr. Maharaj,
Yes, sir.
you have to have a team that is capable of creating that transition. They
Yes.
don't seem to have the capability. If we give it to them, if we hand it to them in the morning, right? By the end of the week, everybody's starving there because they have not demonstrated to have any capability, right?
to
Welcome,
Hmm.
Captain
develop.
Singh. Any capability to do that, to accomplish that. Can they market Tobago on the international market? Any one of them? Is there anybody from Tobago who talking big and bad can really help Tobago bring the revenue stream by making the contacts out there and say, okay, all right, I'm going to bring the Saudis in here. I'm going to bring, somebody outside there who to work with us from some country, or 10 countries to work with it. There is nobody who has demonstrated that capability. And Mr. Singh is there up and direct in their face, and they will not engage him. Everybody's getting
So
stupid with power. Go ahead, Mr. Singh. Anybody, go ahead.
the, the big problem, Dr. Mirage, here is an implementation problem. And I am telling you that because there's a paucity of human resources in the island. And when that happens, everybody feels they're the king, they know everything, they all know all the problems, they know all the solutions, except when you tell them, okay, you go ahead and try it and see what happens. Then everything is a mass failure. And this is the way Tobago runs itself. There are no implementors, so to speak. You
Excuse
know,
me, fellas. Here. Excuse me. I hear the ambulance coming in there. Go on.
all right, doc, you
Okay,
take
Parun,
care.
any day you could join us and give us an update. You just let me know, all right?
All right. All right. Cool.
And I'll send
Right.
you a link directly, and you can show us what's going on there. All right, thanks, bye.
Okay. Bye.
Good for you to
Yeah,
join. Thank you.
take it out.
Mm.
So when you don't have
So that was
implementers,
our
what they
friend
have?
Dr. Parun Maraj, who is handling a lot of medical emergency in Venezuela. There.
Yeah.
So go ahead, gentlemen.
Yeah, if I may continue, there are no implementers. They have they have plans. They have strategic plans. But anytime you do a strategic plan, you have to have strategic outcomes. What are your goals? What are the outcomes which you expect to achieve after you implement your plan? So the plan is just one third, 33%. That the plan answers the question, what? What is to be done? Okay, that's only one third of the strategy. The next one third is when are you going to do it? So what's the time frame for implementation? For example, in year one, I want to achieve 15% of more arrivals. In year two, another 25%. Year three, another 10%, like that. So at the end of 3 or 4 or 5 years, you can say, yes, I'm going to increase tourism by 80%. But nobody tells you when that timeline, the when part of this strategic plan is missing. And then the central part of it is called the how. How are you going to do this? How are you going to ensure that people come to a brand new spanking airport being built in Tobago and our Robinson International can accommodate 3 million people? Tell me the how. How are you going to encourage or bring people to fill that capacity in the island? So all they have is the plan, the strategic plan, yes, but the when and the how, those that's 2/3 is missing.
But Mr. Singh, the strategic plan has to include the when and the how. Is that in no plan?
But they
Yeah,
don't
they
even in
have the
Trinidad the
what they show.
strategic plan.
I give Farley to show us
Even in
to
Trinidad,
show us something
Gary.
how he's going to do it. Show us how you're going to do it. You're talking independence. Show us how you're going to do it.
All right,
Sure.
let
Let's
me
tell
tell you.
Farley bring us a plan
I
forward and say I'm
I'm
going to.
going to
This
be
is how
on
I'm going to market
television.
Tobago, and this is how I'm going to help Tobago function independently without Trinidad.
Okay, Doctor Doctor Dr. Maraj, let's listen for you. Have a good idea what I'm saying, speaking about.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. The Fali is saying we're going to increase the wages over the next 20 years for the hospitality workers from 10,000 US to 20,000 US per annum. That
Right.
means 10,000 US is 70,000 TT, 20,000 US is 140,000 TT, right?
Mm-hmm.
Over
Mm-hmm.
the next 2 years. Now,
Mm-hmm.
that's a good plan. I like that plan. But when I worked my numbers last week, when I read this plan, it's called a Progress to Prosperity Plan. It's called, right? Progress to Prosperity to make Tobago the little greatest little island on the planet. That is the tagline. Okay, nice. Everything so far so good. Now, but when I run the numbers, it's all a fallacy. So I don't know whether somebody tried to sabotage him or nobody's checking the numbers or what. Listen to what that example is. You know how people who works in the hotel industry, they make basically minimum wage, right? Government's minimum wage. The minimum wage in Trinidad is of $23 per hour. Okay, let's say round that off to $25 an hour. And a housekeeper works 6 hours a day. So that housekeeper earns 150 TT dollars per day, which means per week, 5 days a week, you earn $600, means for the month, it's $2,400. Let's round it out to $2,500. $2,500 by 12 is $30,000 for the year. That's the realism on the labor market. So he's saying right now that is
So,
$70,000
all right, 70,000 TT.
TT, but in actuality they're making 30,000 TT. And he's saying now I want to improve this to 140,000 TT. You know
Mm-hmm.
what? When you work the numbers backwards, what does that mean, Dr. Marat? It means that the minimum wage in Trinidad has to be $100 per hour
Yeah.
a day.
Yeah. More than, yeah.
How the heck? Only when UNC
So,
comes
so
in increase,
okay. So the numbers need revamping, but
big time is 5 times wrong. It's wrong 5 times
Yeah, yeah.
over.
But when I say you talking numbers, how how are you going to make that happen? How?
But that's the how. This is what I'm telling you. Everybody tells you the what to be done. Yes, I know. I agree with that. But when it's to be done, nobody says that, and how it is to be done, nobody has a clue. That's where the implementers come in. The implementers say that's not possible. That's rubbish. The minimum wage in Trinidad has to be $100, you know, per hour. Where the heck can the economy make $100 per hour for minimum wage? Minimum wage only sees an increase when the UNC is there. Under PNM, there are no minimum wage increases. So for 10 years, you got nothing. In 2012, the UNC raised it to $15 an hour. And when it came back now, they raised it to $23 an hour. When will it take for them to reach $100 per hour? Well, it has to reach $100 per hour for Fali's thing to say, well, now we can pay workers 140,000 per year.
so let me ask you this, because because all these things they're referring to is that they run against a wall. Do they? Okay, they're going to give wages. I guess they realize that people are underpaid. That should be an assumption that they're using, because the only reason why you want to increase the wages because people are underpaid and therefore they're not performing because you underpay them. So you pay them properly and they will perform. So what is the yardstick to go along with whatever they are asking to increase? There has to be some kind of comparable growth in productivity so that you
That's
could
what I'm
get.
saying. There has to be a how.
That
You could
the
promise
how.
diamond and gold, but how? Where is it coming from? How are you planning to cause that development?
Because all that happen, you push yourself out the market because you become a very high cost industry, tourism, because you're paying this amount of wages, and you become a high industry, and therefore you cannot compete, and therefore you're down back to square one. You're not going to get
Square
anywhere.
one.
So
So,
that model is wrong.
but you know what? They have that is a strategic plan, Dr. Maraj.
Okay.
If you look at the Tobago Development Plan,
Yeah.
Strategic Plan 2026 to 2045, that's
Uh-huh.
a 20-year plan. That
Hmm.
is the goal. But how are you going to achieve that goal when the minimum wage is $25 today and you want to have 101 them to earn 140,000 for the year? It means your minimum wage has to be $100. If the minimum wage in Trinidad is $100,
No,
no
I don't
industry.
know. Look. We have to forget the minimum wage thing. I mean, we don't want to break the law. So therefore, the minimum wage is there to ensure we don't pay anything lower than that. But we want to pay higher than that. But where is the comparable production to support that increase in wages? If there's no such thing, you're going to throw yourself out the market and you'll never get anywhere. You'll be 25 years in the same position.
I'm getting there, and this is what I'm telling you. That is why we can never progress. No industry in Trinidad and Tobago will survive with $100 minimum wage. There's none, absolutely none. No
And that's fine.
small
And like you're getting to that, but I know that's fine. I not respond. I want to give them a decent wage for a decent production.
productive, their productive capacity, unless that improves, you cannot have increases in wages. You can't. It must go hand in hand.
It has
Hey,
to
I
go
give
hand in
you,
hand. That's right. Yes,
it has to be done, our current man. Yes, wages are increasing all over the world, but so is their productivity.
that's right.
Except in our case, we
Yes.
want money to do nothing. That's the whole
That
damn
that that and that you want to know why you can't get that you hit it on the head.
I
This is
know,
it.
I know that, dog, but these people don't know. These politicians say fancy things, and they print that in their strategic plan. Oh, we want to increase. We're going to not we want. Oh, we're going to increase wages from 10,000 US to 20,000 US in 20 years' time. But for that to happen, you need to work backwards. Only if UNC they might it say, okay, from $25 you go to $30 an hour, an hour minimum wage. Not $100. It can't, it never happen. So right now, he's overstating it 5 times more than the actual situation is. So he's 5 times wrong. And
But
that is
did
nobody's
did he phase it out to say how much will be this year? Because you talk about the 20-year plan.
yes, no, they don't do that. The politicians don't do that. That will expose themselves.
Oh no! If well, you know that. So I was commenting on what the recommendation what I would like to suggest.
Yeah,
I would like to
yes,
suggest that Tobago in particular, that they hand it over to a group of people, and they will monitor and they'll be finally have the final say. But hand it to a group of entrepreneurs like yourself, a few other people that could really chart a course for them and do a cost benefit analysis. In the end, you want to sustain the economy to be towards self-independence. And you
yeah,
can only do that if you have a good management plan going forward. The
yes.
politician cannot do it. If they could have done it, they have to employ somebody to do it, even on an honorarium basis. So some good help from Trinidad and Tobago, and hand it over to them and let them come up with a plan of what they need to do. And the politician will get away from it a little bit because they will say, we get a recommendation, or it's also my thing. But we have the recommendation is coming and we have to go along with it. And they will sell the idea that they get it from these entrepreneurs. So they had to hand this over. They cannot do it. They would have, look, 20 years from now, you will come and with the same thing, you'll see that nothing didn't get done.
Nothing
Because
else.
it doesn't get done because you don't know how to get it off the ground. You could talk from now. I look at the plan that the people, whatever the PPT, to whatever the name is a manifesto rather. Now that's the only thing I looked at, and I realized, well, no, manifestos are pie in the sky. So I didn't take it too seriously. But the same things like what you're saying. That cannot be a manifesto. Is never. You have to take a manifesto and to lay down to cost benefit and implementation, as you said before, to implement it. Because you have to bring it down to how to let it come to the ground. You pie in the sky. A manifesto is a pie in the sky. A 20-year plan is a pie in the sky. That is useless if you cannot concretize it and bring it down to reality. How do you execute it going forward? And it must be done day by day. What you're doing today, what you're doing tomorrow, what you're doing next week and next year and the following year. And have it all laid out and stick to it. Those only business people could do that. So they need a group of people to go to managers to manage the economy so they can move towards economic self-sustainability. So you could, in that way, you could stand up to Trinidad and say, okay, we don't need your money anyway. We have our own money. We could lend you if you want. So they could do it, and they could do it. But they had to, and this is the only chance, because if they want to get PNM, get back there again, they're not good. This is the end of the story. That's the end of the story. So this is the last chance.
Yeah, but Doc, that is what always happens. You know that. History says that come next 5 years, the same damn old, same old, come back to square one. So we make a whole 360-degree turn and be back to square one. And this is the thing, when the regime changes, when regime changes, the plans are redrawn. Why can't we do the model that the developed countries in the world say, hey, look, doesn't matter which government comes on, this is the plan, follow this plan. This is our 20-year plan. This is the timeline. This is what they have to achieve by year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. So when you come, you can't go back and redo the plan anymore. You have to follow the plan. And this is where it all
But that's a problem that's a big problem with many governments around the world. When one take over the next one, I see what's happening in the United States, the same stupidness going on.
All over the world that happens. A new regime comes, new plans. So throughout all the good plans the UNC have put in place, and they come in with PNM plans. What happens? Then when the next 5 years they lose election, UNC throws out all that plans and come up with new UNC plans. How can our country go forward? That's why
first of all, the PNM plan was not a good plan anyway. The PNM plan is like no plan. That plan is just to oppress a certain set of people and enrich a certain set of people. Right? And that's what they created that stagnation. That's why we're having so much trouble today.
So you know why that is happening? Because like I started when the first time I spoke to you all on this, I spoke to you again. I told you government are lazy and can't get anything done because they only care about winning election and doesn't go after they sit on the office and are waiting for the next 5 years to win again. And in the meantime, the country going down the hill. So
PNM government, that is not UNC, that's PNM.
You have to build, but that is true, but that won't make them win. We talk about this many times before. The only way you can get ahead in these situations, like the one you're referring to, Tobago and Trinidad and elsewhere, is you have to have strong institutions which continue to function no matter which government takes over. It's only when you have strong institutions can you really hold rein in the politicians when they come into office.
But Doc, you hit the nail in the head. But let me tell you what's going on. What is actually going on at this time? We are Trinidad, all these institutions, the service commissions department,
Mm-hmm.
there's public service commissions department, there's teaching service commission, there's police service commission. All these things have the same people running it who have been running it for the past years. That has
Okay.
not been changed.
Right.
So it's the same old, because teaching service commission, they can only appoint up to 20 or 30 teachers for the year. Why? It's They sit once a month or twice a month. The Minister of Education has no say. He has no say as to who can become a teacher or not. That is the responsibility of the Teaching Service Commission. They
Right.
do the screening, they do the hiring, and all this sort of thing.
The-
And
and
the
and,
same
and that's
persons who
fine.
have
And
been
that's fine.
here,
That's fine.
yeah, but they're the same persons who have been there has been there for 20 and 30, 20,
Oh,
25
well,
years.
they could do an amendment to adjust that, to make some adjustment
Yeah,
with
but
it.
they have a lot of amendments to do because
No,
there are 2,000 something vacancies for teaching right now.
right.
And when they're doing 20 and 30 for the year, what is that telling us?
So
And the ministers have to listen to the commission. Ministers cannot circumvent or bypass the teaching service commission. So
no, they
Dowlett,
could go.
Dowlett can say,
Yeah,
hey,
but
look,
uh, those kinds of stymie plan that they could go to Parliament to make an adjustment to that.
yeah, but when you think they will do that? Right now, the country is suffering because of these commissions, these service commissions. This is why we're suffering, because that should be thrown out. Those commissions should no longer exist to see about appointments. Don't let the Ministry of Education put the teachers where the vacancies are in the schools where they need them. So they fill all the vacancies within 1 month. But that doesn't happen. That function lies with the Teaching Service Commission.
So if the cabinet says, well, look, we like to fill all those vacancies within 12 months, they don't have power to do that?
Well, the cabinet last year, October, Kamala said she had so much 20 something thousand vacancies to fill. I
Right.
don't know how much has been filled right now because cabinet haven't sit on that as yet since October last year. So you draw your own conclusion. To me, that's just political talk, you know. But anyway, I see these things differently. You can't have the same people were not able to function over these years, and they're still in charge of your operations when you have the power to change the damn thing.
But if institutions that they cannot change the leaders of those institutions is because they're fixed by law. I mean, so there's you
Correct?
have to,
Change the damn law, change the law, or kill
yeah,
the.
but provided it will be a betterment, like you said, there had to be a betterment for not
Well,
only yourself, but the other. If there's another government to come after you, because there might be governments after you.
yes,
Yes.
correct.
Yeah, and so
Correct.
yeah.
But you see, the UNC mandate should have been, hey, we're going to fill all these vacancies because the school children's education is the one who is suffering, the students.
Mhm.
They don't have the teachers in the classroom. So the students suffers. That is enough grounds for me as a government to say, hey, look, the cabinet has taken a decision to fill all these vacancies within 6 months. And forget the Teaching Service Commission. The Civil Service Commission is the same. Nonsense that goes on there. The people there feel their navel string is buried there. They're the ones who hold the sole authority. And nobody cannot tell them anything. So you see where we're going fast.
Right.
Nowhere.
Let me just touch back into Tobago too, because I think that's what Gary said we're talking about tonight. So we'll come back to those things another day because we have what is occurring to me is that the way I see Tobago is like how I would see like St. Vincent or St. Lucia. And they seems to be having a good tourist attraction. I don't know, successful, but more than Tobago. Maybe not very successful, but more than better off than Tobago.
Yeah.
So, is there anything they can replicate in Tobago that is being tried in Antigua, especially like the smaller ones, like maybe like Dominica or maybe like St. Vincent or St. Lucia, St. Kitts? You know, these countries, like they kind of managing their affairs well. They're not getting very far, but they kind of self-independent in a way. So why Tobago has to be so dependent on Trinidad for all the resources? When they could see what is being done in St. Vincent and St. Lucia and see what they can replicate. Because there's something that they're doing there with the Trinidad Tobago people not doing. And Tobago is supposed to be different. They're not supposed to be like Trinidad. They're supposed to be more like the small islands, doing the thing themselves, and tourism should be the number one industry, and it has been almost always. So
the main problem in Tobago is that the state employs 60% of the labor force. 60% of the labor force.
Tourism attracts 60% of the labor force?
No, the state, the THA employs 60% of the labor force in
Somehow I'm
Tobago.
getting an echo, Suman, from your mic. I don't know why is that. Maybe now it's better. I guess a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, Doc, you see what the problem is there now.
Oh no. So,
Trinidad,
so where is the private enterprise? Where's the private enterprise?
That is the problem. There's zero.
Oh no, they can't survive.
They cannot survive.
No.
Now, the only way you can survive is back to when I was there at that time. You have to bring in tourists. But with 23,000 tourists, that's the same when I came in 2003. I took it up to 85,000. But over 20 years, nobody has ever done that. So this THA is saddled with that heavy wage bill that you have to pay, because if they decide that we're going to do like Trinidad and cut the service to 22% of the labor force is what works in the government. In Trinidad, the rest is absorbed by private sector. In Tobago, it's 60%. And if the teachers say we can't afford to pay so much, we want to drop it back to 40% or 30%, then there'll be another 30% unemployment.
No, but you cannot have an economy where 60% is employed by the state. You cannot.
And the World Travel and Tourism Council has
there is not enough. You cannot milk that other 40%. You're milking 40% to maintain 60%. That is not right.
You can't do that. That is not practical. Nowhere in the world. No, it could be how rich that can be. You cannot have so much people being employed by the state.
Because I don't know if you know, years gone by, the Vincentians to come down with a banana boat. And they will bring the goods, all kind of provision they will bring, and sell it in the Port of Spain market, and buy things from Trinidad that they need, and go back up, because Trinidad had more things for them to buy from, because Trinidad had all money, and they pick up a lot of stuff and they carry back that they couldn't find in St. Vincent. So they take it back. So in the same way, Tobago people could be bringing goods into Port of Spain market. You guys might even sell it right there, but let me say that they're looking at the model that the other small islands have. And if Trinidad, Tobago could follow some of those things, but because that's 60-40s, but I never knew that was so terrible. That is not good. You cannot have an economy if you have that kind of relationship. You have an economy that is a government run, government supported, and government doesn't work anyway. Government doesn't get any money. Government doesn't make any money. Tobago doesn't even have oil field to sell. It could depend on royalties and drilling on the ground and getting royalty. They have no such thing. So they have to go back to square one and say, what the small islands doing, let's replicate some of those stuff that they're doing. Forget Trinidad in the sense that don't depend on them. Let me do your own thing. And if we really in dire strait, we will always ask Trinidad to give a pull out.
No,
That is how it had. That's the model they had to look after. Let's go on to ourselves.
They had that model before. In the 60s, that was the model, Doc.
Right.
Tobago was the breadbasket of Trinidad and Tobago.
Oh.
All the cocoa, coffee, citrus, bananas, coconuts, copra, oil, what have you, oil meaning cooking oil. All that came from Tobago. There were two boats that dedicated, they were given by the Canadian government, Federal Palm and Federal Maple. They bought, Tobago goods, when it came to Trinidad, commanded a premium price because it was all organic. They never knew what fertilizers were. Just growing things in natural soil, cow manure, and that's it. Sheep manure and what have you. Even animals, sheep. Tobago had the largest sheep farm in the Caribbean. I used to live next to one that. It's called Hope Farm, 1,400 acres, and had all foreign veterinary people and farm workers and so on, all foreigners, Americans and English vets and so on, who will manage the farm.
Do they? I thought they had a goat industry, no?
Yeah, the sheep
industry.
Yes.
Trinidad need a lot of meat. They should be able to make a lot of money selling their meat to Trinidad people.
But only these vans come up from Trinidad every day to buy sheep. Okay. Every day they come and they take live sheep down.
So that we could be going from. They could do a lot of attract Trinidad with tourism, give them all kind of special when they come to Trinidad and come to visitors. Because you could get a lot of Trinidad people. A lot of Trinidad people just go there and you could make them out get some cash from them by offering things to them. So in that way we'll be less dependent on the government. Because if they depend on the government 60%, they can't survive. They have to find another way, and it is there. It is not too far gone. They had to hand that over to some implementers of business people with a business psyche on how to take a penny and make a quarter out of it. They had to get that kind of people. The politicians cannot do it.
If Chinese stop coming to Tobago, the economy collapses. The day Chinese stop coming to Tobago, the Tobago economy collapses.
Right. So they should promise the Trinidadian when they come there, they are safer than even Trinidad when they get there. And the prices are cheaper. They get a better deal. And they go back, so they always don't go to America. Come here. We're going to give everything. We have this for you. We have that for you. Come here. We have this. So you really push it in a big way, but push it by private enterprise. The government could facilitate and build up the infrastructure and do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things, but they can't do everything. So allow the private enterprise to flourish. That's the only way they can get ahead. Right. Allowing the private enterprise to flourish.
This thing has to be driven by the public, not the public sector, but by private individuals. Yes. Correctly said, and I've been saying this all along. The state only is an enabler. Right. They enable the thing. They provide the infrastructure for me, the road, the network, the port, and so on, the airport, blah, blah, blah. But let private enterprise, private initiative drive the economy. This is what it has to be. But
because this thing about the sandals thing, and I told you about the sandals before tonight. Because I heard that how long ago the PNM blamed the UNC for sandals not coming there. I don't know how they arrive at it, but then you realize that they blame everybody besides themselves. So that's the story. But
political talk.
but if Sandals could see an opportunity to make a buck, they will move. They will move in. They
Yeah,
don't
but
depend on no
I
government
have
help.
a serious problem with my government spending taxpayers' dollars to build a hotel for a foreign business to come
That's
and
But
operate in there. Why the foreign business can't build their own hotels?
right.
they,
If
they,
it's
don't- they ain't putting out 1 cent. Standard will not putting out 1 cent.
yeah, the goodwill they were trading on the goodwill that they will bring that when Sandal come, everybody will leave everywhere and come to Trinidad and because Sandal's there. What crap that is! Nobody
That,
will come for those sandals. No way. Which sandal is it gold? Is it gold? They're not going to follow that. That is nonsense. And that was the PN I was trying to sell that idea because
that's
sandal.
correct. Correct. That is what they were trying to sell to the outside
Yes.
world.
Yeah.
But that's all a
That's
fallacy. How come Sandals making money by investing their own money and making money in all the other islands? Why
yeah.
you wanted free from Trinidad and Tobago?
Yeah, and that goes
Why
back to the point,
tax?
and that go back to the point I made the other day, about what Trinidad, these West Indian islands like to bump on Trinidad because they want Trinidad cash and Trinidad help and Trinidad money and Trinidad freeness. That's all they like Trinidad for. So they had to go back to turn back the favor back again. The West Indies must help Trinidad in terms of buying the goods and services off the shelf. Trinidad has to lead and they have to follow because that's how it always used to be. And that's why
Yeah,
Jamaica never liked
Yeah,
Trinidad
but
because
Doc,
Trinidad,
what used to be and what is a two different things now. We live in a different world here
yeah, no, they lost it. They lost it.
different dynamics.
Yeah,
Totally
they
different
lost it because
dynamics.
they lost it because they want to give away their brothers and sisters everything. Give away the whole store. Give everybody everything. Let them be happy and we will get you ass here forever. That was the mantra of the PNM
yeah,
and those government people.
yeah.
So that is why many didn't like the Trinidad. When they go, they love you. They love you like crazy because they get a penny from you. You could return them a penny, but making sure you get back 3 pennies. You could deal with them, but have your head on, and that's what you do. No, they didn't do it because they went stupid like them. So the term I used last time was graduating towards mediocrity. When Trinidad could be above the rest, they have to go down with all of them because you move into average rather than moving to the top of the class. So you end up being average. That is why they don't understand Trinidad not supposed to be average. Trinidad supposed to be exceptional. That
The
is how
leader,
it's
the
always
leader,
been.
the
It has
leader.
always been that way.
Well,
But
the PNM vision and the UNC vision is two different things. The PNM reality is two different things from the UNC. I mean, the PNM brought us in this stage about just carrying everybody on my back and not investing what we have to create a very stronger revenue stream. Today we can't get back what we gave out, because it's no use to us. It's like we they put money with pockets and holes. You know. But before, gentlemen, I want to continue this conversation. Let me know tomorrow night is good. But while I have Captain Singh here, I just want to, Captain Singh, we lost a young lady in the military, in, you know, in the Middle East over there, and she's of Trinidad roots, Angel Rampasad. So I want to give a recognition for that. And Captain Singh, maybe you could say a few words. I'm not hearing you, Captain Singh. Oh boy. I don't know if he's hearing me or not. Alvin?
Yeah,
Can you
yes,
say
hello,
something
go
on
ahead.
behalf of Angel Rampasad, who lost her life of Trinidad roots in the Middle East there?
I can barely hear you. I'm gonna log out and log back in.
Gary, I'm knocking off in the next 2 to 3 minutes, sir.
Yeah, so we gonna close up pretty much, and we just want to give Captain Singer a minute or two to say something on behalf of the Angel Rampasad that died in the Middle East there, of Trinidad and Tobago roots. So I don't know what happened to his.
Yeah, she's about a mile away from me here, not far from me.
And she's from Ozone Park, Queens too.
Ozone Park, right? Yeah.
Hello, sir, doctor.
He's logging in back.
So that's what he say. You're going to log in back.
So you guys can continue talking for a couple of minutes, and then we're gonna log
Yeah.
off. Just waiting on Captain Singh to rejoin
All
us.
right, let's see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but don't forget what I told you. There had one way forward is to really hand it over to a bunch of managers who could really chart a course and get a return for your buck. What do you call a buck? Pong for your buck, whatever, something like that. To make it sure your dollar go. If you're going to give somebody a raise, make it sure it tied into some kind of productivity. Because there's no sense to give a raise and you're trying to any kind of productivity. It has to be, and it can't be
Captain
done.
Singh, are you hearing us?
Yes, I can hear you now.
I just wanted to say some words on behalf of Angel Rampasad of our Trinidad and Tobago Roots, who lost herself a life in the military in the Middle East. There, if you could say something on behalf of her.
It's a sad situation that we lost one of our soldiers in a combat zone, and more so a young lady who represented two countries, Trinidad and Tobago and the United States. I know she served well. It's a grieving period for her and her family, and condolences go out from myself and all the diaspora. Um, you know, her serving in the the that area is volatile, and we take it for granted that when you go to these places in Jordan where there's air defense artillery, that it's not going to be a combat zone. And today we see how warfare has changed, where missiles, come in and it impacts on the battlefield. But condolences again from myself. When I saw that it was one of ours, I felt I felt sad that it happened in in this period of time that this war is going on, and hopefully uh, this doesn't happen again. Um, in that area, hopefully this war will come to an end, and the powers to be can decide that this is unnecessary military conflict that's happening right now. Gary?
Thank you, Captain Singh. I know. I mean, remember yourself when you're out there. I mean, consider you in the military. You in a lot of combat zone areas over the years, for many years, and thinking about this young lady. You know, um, it's heartbroken to see what happened. And yes, it's an unnecessary war. Hope they can resolve their differences, and we can get out of it. All right, gentlemen. Thank you very much to Mr. Singh. You go. Let me know if you want to continue discussion. Tomorrow or whenever. All right then. Good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Okay.
Okay, good
Good
night.
night.
All right.